Hi friends, welcome to a new playlist on my channel here. This is going to be called Simple Living, and you might have caught briefly a previous version of this video that I made and was up for about a week, and then I realized that the file was corrupted, it was messed up, and I had deleted the raw footage, so I couldn't remake it, so finally I'm reshooting it. Here we are. Simple living is an important topic that goes along with living in high vibration. Because we're living in an increasingly populated planet and there are finite resources for one, and it's just, in my perspective, it's like doing my fair part and just recognizing I can't live as extravagantly as I might like to or as I could if that were my goal, and trying to use fewer resources. That's why I originally became a vegetarian, was just to use fewer resources of the planet. And then becoming a vegetarian, I discovered many other great benefits to it. And simple living, I think, is the same way. On the very surface, at the very least, it's a nice gesture for the planet. It's very helpful. And on the more important level, the more subtle level, is that it just leads to a happier life. The fewer things and distractions that you have, the more time that you have to connect with people that are meaningful to you, and to spend time inwardly in reflection, in creating art, and doing things that are meaningful also. So simple living is an increasingly important topic. I'm a big fan of the tiny home movement, and I want to get into that more actively. And it's unfortunate how difficult our culture is making it right now for people to downsize and live simply, but it's very important. So I want to add my voice to the growing throngs of people that are seeking to live a simpler life. So for my journey right now, I have been a part of a project for the last 7 years that was very intense, and I basically took 3 months off, and I've been living in my truck for 3 months while I do a major life reset and process everything that happened and reflect on and prepare for the next things coming up in my life. And I'm hoping to do a lot more of this in the future. Anyway, so I've been living in Lakshman, this is my truck, for the last 3 months, like I said. And I was going to just give you a brief tour of how I've been doing that and what's worked and what hasn't. I've seen a lot of the videos of people who are doing the van life thing. I've learned a lot from them. I'm grateful for what they've shared on YouTube, and I want to offer what little I've got and what I've learned back up. I hope that this is of use to anybody out there, or inspiration or anything like that. So I'm going to jump right into it. So first of all, you'll notice I've got a lot of stuff in Lakshman, as was pointed out by several people. The reason for that is I started my journey up by Portland, Oregon in March. I was in the Cascades with snow this deep, and I went down to San Diego and over to the Sonoran Desert in Tucson, where it was 105 degrees the day that I left. So I need gear for different climates. Also have a kayak, a bicycle, the gear for those things. I've got backpacking gear, a little bit of climbing stuff. I just was going on an adventure, and I wanted to be prepared for anything that would come up, and I had room for it. Also, I've got gear for sadhana, for my spiritual practices. It all takes up space. Also, I have a lot of food and gear to support the truck too. So it takes up space. I've got a lot of stuff, but I'm out for 3 months. Basically, you can see I've got this unit here. I'm going to do a separate video on this at some point in the future when I get to my new place and unpack everything, how I built this structure. There's basically a platform, a plywood platform that is at the height of the top of the wheel wells that goes all the way back, and the top is in quadrants that are removable individually. This side goes all the way back. This is my sleeping area, obviously. I used to use this ridge rest. These are great because you can totally trash them. I could have this out in the desert. I actually use this for my yoga mat, mostly when I'm outdoors, because it's so much thicker than my real yoga mat and provides more cushioning. The one downside to this as a yoga mat is that it stretches. So like if you're in downward dog, it'll actually elongate, and you have to keep shifting your stance around. Right now, so that's helpful for a lot of things, and also just sitting on the tailgate. I sit over here a lot on it. But the thing that I use it for most frequently is just kneeling on the tailgate, because I'm 35 now and my knees don't like kneeling on metal anymore. They used to be able to handle it without a problem, but they just don't like it. So this is actually really helpful for me. I just fold that up and close the tailgate when I'm not using it. Otherwise, it lives there mostly. It's also handy if I'm sleeping in a town on a street somewhere. I can put this up alongside the windows there, so no one can see in. It'll give us both some privacy. So that's my sleeping side. Over on this side is all my gear. And originally, how I had this set up was the quadrant up in front. That piece of plywood is out. I stored that back at home. And my cooler was up front there. And that was, there were pros and cons to that. There was better visibility out the back when I was driving, definitely. It was harder to access, of course. I like having the accessibility back here, but it's a heavy cooler to get in and out. This was mostly my food drawer, and this worked out pretty well, because what I would do is pull this out, and I would cook right here sometimes, and that was nice because there's a little extra wind break here when it was windy, like it is today. So I could cook right in the tailgate if I was at just like a little spot. I just pull off the road, or lots of viewpoints on the West Coast. And I just use a little alcohol stove. It's like a kind of a version of the Super Cat. Look that up if you don't know what that is. It's great. I love it. Let's see. I'll probably do another video about food and kind of what I eat. But, so that goes back. So originally, like I said, cooler was up front, and most of my extra gear was right where the cooler was, and then I basically just swapped those. Again, pros and cons both ways. In this drawer, I have a lot of books and my toiletries, some odds and ends, things like that. And then up front, under my bed, I've got all the things that I probably won't need: my jack, towing straps, jumper cables, tire chains, things like that. Staying in Lakshman, basically what I've been doing is camping a lot in national forest land. You can do dispersed camping, which is camping anywhere that's not in an official campground. They say you can pretty much do it anywhere you're not blocking a road. Just be really on the ball about what jurisdiction you're in. If you're in national forest or state park or national park or Bureau of Land Management, do your research. Where you're going to stay, what's the jurisdiction, and what are the rules. Then I've also stayed in towns. Sometimes I would typically find a residential area, and I'll just do street parking, someplace I can park for free overnight, and I don't want to concern anybody, so I typically would get there late. And it was kind of cool because I would just park and climb in through the window here, get in bed. I'd put up my ridge rest to cover up the window, put some stuff up against the back window here so people couldn't really see in. Go to sleep and wake up early and crawl back through the cab, never step a foot outside, and drive away in the morning, and didn't bother anybody, and none's the wiser, and it's all good. In a lot of places, I don't know all the legalities of this. I guess it's still illegal to be a vagrant, like to not have a permanent residence, which is like really, it's one of those really weird, unfortunate laws. It's illegal to not have an address? What was I going to say? Oh yeah, about this too. So I started out with the ridge rest many years ago. It's still great for some things, but my shoulders just can't take sleeping on this on hard ground anymore, or hard surface like plywood. So this is Big Agnes makes a whole series of these inflatable backpacking pads that are really thick. not like the Thermarests that are still like really thin. These are thick and cushy, and this has been awesome. And it's actually really cozy. It's like it's tight getting into my truck in this little space, but then once I'm in there, I feel very safe and contained. Originally, I had bike helmet. I had this other cooler up front in the passenger seat, and I thought I would use this as like the base camp cooler, and this would be my... Oh, where is it? There you are. I haven't been drinking, I swear. That I would just put the food that I needed for whatever day in here. That was a total stupid plan. That didn't work at all. I haven't used this cooler. I totally wish I could not have it. I think if I did this again, what I would experiment with the next trial would be to remove this piece of plywood. I'd have the cooler inside the drawer, so it would be down lower. I'd have good visibility over the top, and I could pull the drawer out easily because it's on, It's on strips of ABS, so it slides very easily. So I could pull it out, access the cooler that way, or even leaving it in place, I could access it because it would lift up higher because it would be down lower. And then I would have the rest of my food in this drawer here. But basically having food the most accessible, that's key, because I'm eating 3 times a day. I don't need to access my gear 3 times a day. Right now I have my clothing bag all the way forward, and I can access that by reaching through the window from the cab. And that's pretty easy because I don't change clothes. I tend to like take a shower and then wear the same clothes for a few days until I shower again. Sorry if that's TMI, but that's what I do. It's just me out here anyways. So there's a bunch of stuff that I could have left, but like I said, I didn't know how the trip was going to go, so I just brought a bunch of stuff. It would have been nice to have the extra room back here, but c'est la vie. The Mini fits on the Camelback hose perfectly. Probably Platypus too, but I don't know. I got a Camelback because whatever. Why not? So this is my backpacking setup, and this is great because there's a quick release on the bottom of the hose, so you can leave your hose threaded down through your pack. And then what I do is I go down to the river and I scoop up water in this, and then I just plug my hose back in. It's leaking water in my pants right now. Ah, it's cold. And then plug this in, and then I just drink water, and then when I want to cook, all I do is I set this up on something, or you can hang it from something like this, and I just take this off, and then the water just drains. It's just, I mean, it's not super fast flow, but it's fast enough for my needs. I'm never in that big of a hurry when I'm backpacking. And I've used this a number of times on this trip also, and that's my favorite way, is just to drink Mother Nature's water right from clean, beautiful rivers, like the river right here. Maybe I'll show you if you're lucky in a minute. It's amazing. I'm right by the Elk River in Southern Oregon. And then this guy has been super key. This has been great because I just put him right on the tailgate. What I do keep doing is you got to unscrew this to let air in to replace the water that's going, and then I end up picking this up while it's full of water and getting water all over everything. So I finally learned not to do that. I think, knock on wood. I think that's about it for realsies. Like I said, I might do a video sometime on food, basically what food I eat, but I think we're good for this video. I'll show you the cab real quick. And the other thing I've got, there's some metal pipes up here. Probably didn't notice those. Can barely see them. Anyway, those are for my hammock. And there's another video that I shot back in the desert, but I can release. I got to put this one out first, and then you can see how the hammock setup works. It's pretty rad. I'm super stoked about it. It's worked great. Let me know if you guys have any questions on any of that. This was fun to figure out. It was really fun to use. It's been a great trip, and I'm very pleased with the setup. It's been awesome having a truck again and having four-wheel drive and having that mobility to just get off on some rough roads and some back roads and places that I wouldn't have been able to take the Camry that I've been driving for the last few years previously. So anyway, I'll show you the cab in brief. I've been waiting to reshoot this video for a while. Oh my gosh. Come on, guys, you're embarrassing me. It's usually easier than that. I've been waiting to reshoot this video because I just wanted a nice outdoor quiet place that was pretty, and it's finally happening. And then I was shooting another video in the cab that's on Alive in Higher Consciousness. And then I was like, it's not windy. It's not raining here. Finally, I'm someplace where it's not windy and or raining. And I just ran outside and shot this video, so I didn't tidy things up. But this will give you a real honest look of what the cab's like right now. I just keep whatever stuff I need for the day right up here, like monkey. I keep some books readily accessible. That's my bear spray. I've been keeping that in my back pocket a lot, even though I haven't seen any bears or mountain lions. Keep some water back here. Kind of what you'd expect, really. Nothing much. My coat. Anyway, it's a little bit of a mess, but, I don't exactly have a place for everything, so everything can't always be in its place. But I find that's kind of my natural state. I'm learning to accept that, and I'm pretty good at remembering where things are. I can usually put my hand on things pretty easily, even though it's somewhat chaotic. Take it or leave it. So, there's Lakshman. Isn't he cute? Such a great little truck. I love that little guy. Okay, now check this out. So I'm just going to show you the Elk River. It's a little icing for sticking with me this long. Look at that. Yeah, I got some more pictures of this on Instagram and stuff. Look at that, man. Amazing. It was even, it was raining yesterday and this morning. When I first got here yesterday afternoon, it was more green. It was more like aquamarine. It was insanely beautiful. And yes, I did go swimming in it this morning for about 10 seconds. And it was an amazing 10 seconds. And looking at it again, I'm like, I want to get in that. It's calling to me. We'll see if I do or not. But anyway, that's the Lakshman tour. That's truck life topic. So that's that. Thanks for watching. Looking forward to sharing more videos and talking about simple living with you in the future. And let me know if there's anything you'd like me to talk about. And also, as always, I am on Patreon. If you would like to support me and see more videos, I would be so grateful. I'd love to share more about what I'm doing and how I'm doing it and how to live in higher consciousness. And there's a number of other channels I'm looking forward to starting. So anyway, hope you can join me on the journey. And if you have the energy and feel the inspiration to support me, I would be most grateful. Check it out, Patreon, Alive in Higher Consciousness. See you around. Take care.